UFC lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov, who retired unbeaten, has been spending a lot of time coaching and was one of MMA Junkie's Coaches of the Year in 2022, along with Javier Mendez. But now he's making rumblings. So I'm not reporting facts here, but it's rumblings, man. It's what we're hearing, that he might be stepping away from coaching. What could this mean for all those great athletes from Dagestan who have looked up to Khabib and his late father, Abdul Manap? Nolan, what's on your mind, man? What do you think is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a big blow to that team because obviously they have great coaches across the board. That's the reason that we did co-coaches of the year this year at MMA Junkie. Javier Mendez, one of the best in the game, had a great year and I think was overlooked because of Khabib's presence. But I think when it comes to the mental side of this and the emotional side of this team and what they're, what you attribute their success to, I think it's a lot of it is on the mental side, and that's Khabib. He's the leader there. He's motivated these guys. I talked to some of the guys at AKA, some of the Americans that have gone through the training sessions with him too, and can really contextualize it in the bigger scope of what his training sessions are like and his motivational speeches are like compared to other more, big gyms here in the United States. And just kind of comparing and contrasting. And they really drove home the fact that he's such a motivator. So for me, I think this is a big blow. I'm not sure if he'll definitely be like totally out of the picture. Like I have a tough time thinking that he's not going to be cornering Islam going forward and trying to continue that legacy going. So I guess we'll really have to see what this means, what it means to be stepping back or whatever the right term for it would be. But obviously, I think that team, when you lose a leader like that, even if it's half your coaching staff or half of your head coaches, like that's a big one, especially for the Dagestani guys that train with him on both sides of the world. So it'll be interesting. I think Khabib's proven to be a very interesting guy in his ability to walk away from things, whether in full or in part when he's on top. It's something we don't see at all in MMA. So props to him for doing what he feels deep down inside is right and spending more time with his family if that's what the priority should be, which I think most people would agree it should be. Good for him.
Good stuff. In the chat, Brian Williams says PFL just needs another spectacle with, I'm sorry. Mike, you're next. That's the whole last topic I don't want to go back to. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm not surprised particularly to hear this. Khabib did like a lengthy sit-down interview in Toronto about like a month and a half ago, and he seemed deeply conflicted about his coaching run and the wanting to split time and spend time with his family. And he was talking about how difficult it's been, not just even to spend time with his family, but to tend to all his other goals and kind of business things that he has going on the side. And I sensed with him a lot in that interview, like how conflicted he was internally, but he didn't want to do wrong by his fighters by, having one foot in and one foot out, essentially. And I think maybe we're kind of seeing him start to make a decision. I mean, he obviously had a spectacular year. He's had a champion win the belt. He's had multiple champions from his staple of fighters. So like he's kind of accomplished it all at this point. I mean, obviously it would be great to continue racking up wins, getting more belts and all that stuff. But for him, I mean, like, I think he's kind of set out to do what he's needed to do in this regard, completed quote unquote father's plan or whatever. He's finished the job that his father set out to do with this crop of guys. And at some point he's going to have to step away. I mean, I didn't envision Khabib being in the corner until he's like 60 years old or anything like that. So maybe just do it now. I mean, this is a guy, obviously, coming from the religious faith that he has. Family is a hugely important part of that. And, if you even think back, I think when he fought Edson Barboza back in like 2019 or 2018, I think it was the day that his son was born and he missed that. And I think he talked about it at the press conference and like how much he was looking forward to getting back. So this guy has sacrificed a lot when it comes to the family element. So I don't blame him one bit for saying, hey, I want to go out there and, dedicate all my time to being with my family as much as he can. Do I think he'll be completely absent from the sport? No. from what you kind of pick up from some of the Instagram posts from like his training partners, his friends. I think more so than I think we just won't see him traveling as often and cornering as often, because that is ultimately the most time consuming thing for these coaches. You talk to other ones in the games, the ones that you see in the corners almost every week, say Saud, Eric Nixick, the list goes on and on. You know, you're traveling out somewhere on a Wednesday of fight week, coming back Sunday morning, or Thursday of fight week, coming back Sunday morning. That is a lot of time to spend away. If you can axe that part out and, you know, be living somewhere near his gym and going in training the guys, then I think that's a lot more of a achievable schedule for him. So if I had to make a prediction without having heard him speak elaborately on what his plans are going forward, I think it'll probably be something like that. You'll see him in the gym coaching guys, helping them strategize, but we won't see him at the events as often.
I think he's going to do something like Henry Cejudo with the retirement, the time away. He actually, I think, got married and had a kid, and then he slowly started coming back, you know, mentoring, coaching, and now even teased the comeback. I might stop a little short there because I now starting to firmly believe just Khabib won't do that. But Danny, what do you think is going to happen here with the Eagle?
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I think he's gonna look, coaching is super taxing. You talk to any coach in combat sports and, you know, there's so much that they have to do and it takes up so much of their lives, because a fighter goes in and does their own training camp, right? They might help some partners here and there, but the coach has to be in every single one. And you often hear like coaches being like, okay, this week I'm in Vegas, and then the next week I get home for like a day, I got to pack again, and now I'm out going to, you know, another part of the country or the world. And certainly, you know, Khabib had a pretty busy schedule. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that he's stepping down, but I don't think he'll step down completely. I do think he's going to be available for his fighters as far as any advice, career-wise, or strategy, or even training. Khabib, you know, he retired from the sport, but he didn't retire from training. He's still out there in the gym, putting in the work with the guys, and he very much enjoys that lifestyle. So I do think he's going to have some involvement. Again, this is just speculation. I don't think he's going to completely leave the sport behind, but probably his coach role as being like super involved as a head coach. Yeah, that's probably in the past. We'll see. Maybe he'll make an exception here and there with some fighters or some big fights. I was actually texting with Javier Mendez earlier today, and he was telling me that he's uncertain if Khabib's going to be in the corner for Islam Makhachev when he fights Volkanovski. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Obviously, Khabib's a big part of Islam's success. But something else that I wanted to point out, and it gets lost in this, I know Khabib and Javier Mendez won Coach of the Year for MMA Junkie, and I've seen in other sites and other podcasts and whatnot, just give Khabib Coach of the Year, and they feel like this is going to be a big blow as well. Let's not forget about Javier Mendez. He told me that nothing changes for him, that he's still going to be just as involved. And he's also a big player, a big part of this whole puzzle, a big part of the success that a lot of Team Eagle had. So let's not forget about him. He's still going to be around, and he's one of the best coaches today. So it's not all, you know, doom and gloom for the Team Eagle guys. They still have, you know, Javier Mendez, one of the best coaches today.
Oh, yeah. I've heard them call him father, the American version, obviously, but they think highly of him, and his gym has definitely produced a lot of gold over the years. Inspector Void was saying what you were talking about, Danny. He says Habib's leaving because he knows Volk beats Islam. Again, Danny says that as of today, we don't know yet if Khabib will be in the corner, but interesting take there.